Hey, how we doing, guys? So, we got a break in the rain. We're gonna go up here and look. I had a couple of our old apple trees come down last this winter, and it has been absolutely swamp up here where I'm trying to. We're gonna redo most all of this old apple grove up here. Anyway, but we're gonna see if there's something we can't trim up and use, make a new spoon. All right, so here's the old apple orchard, and again, you can see most everything. Unfortunately, between the wind storms and that has been pretty well beat up or blown down. So let me put you guys down, and we're gonna get a piece of this apple tree. Let's see what we can make. Alrighty, guys, so I got back from the old apple orchard up there, and I think we got a pretty good piece. There's a little bit of heartwood separation here, but we should have some pretty good pieces in here. And I like, our pith is really super off center. All right, so that's going to give us a really big piece over here for like some bowls or vessels, and some smaller, shallower stuff here for a couple spoons if we would like. We're going to go through and my new fro, I'm so excited to have. It does truly save a whole lot of work having a fro. But where do I want to take? We're going to go about there. That piece. Alrighty, so you can see that the fro makes really short work of getting a nice straight piece. We don't have any pith. We got some beautiful color in this. So we'll see what we get. I might try to make a couple bowls. I might just make spoons. Not sure yet, although it does look, yeah. All right, so there is a pretty good knot halfway through that started a pretty good stress crack. So we are going to turn this all into some spoon blanks. if you pay attention to the stresses and the different cracks in the wood, it will save you a lot of headaches in the carving process. You know, look for cracks, look for imperfections, look for knots. It doesn't mean the piece is worthless or anything, but it's going to let you know anywhere you have knots or, you know, strain on a piece of material, there is a chance that that's where it's going to crack. That's where it's going to be the most difficult to carve or to get a good smooth texture. So, like I said, make sure you look over your pieces really good and, you know, make your best educated decision as to what you want to do with them. I tend to, let me bring the Holzberg out here for a minute. Maybe. Again, so this is my Holzberg carving hatchet, and this is my Sharkey's carving hatchet. They are obviously two different designs, and this I really love for fine, delicate work. You know, precision work, getting everything carved right down as tight as you can with a hatchet. I feel like this does a better job. This, I believe, does more aggressive work well, but it's hard to say that too because I've done a really aggressive hollow grind on this. I've not on this yet, and I don't know if I want to. Like I said, this has been really handy for just driving down through bark and debris. But I do feel like this tends to roll a bit more in my hand, and I'm not sure if that's because the head is heavier or if it's the handle geometry. And again, it is not me bashing it. This is the first spoon carving hatchet I have had. This is the one I'm most used to. It works really well. It's really good quality, but it is also quite expensive. All right, so now we just have to figure out what we want to do with this nice piece of apple here. Yeah, I do like this. I like my Holzberg, but I feel like once I get down to where I want to get some nice clean surfaces, having this broader face, I feel like it cleans stuff up better. It's almost big enough to make 2 spoons, but not quite. I really like to at least get my blanks roughed out into a fairly flat split. Before I make a lot of judgment. When you get these sides cleaned up, it's going to really narrow down your working surface. And like I said, we really want to try to keep that surface so we're going right through the grain structure here. We got a pretty good blank there. Let's steal a pencil here out of the kit and see how theirs do. I'm going to have to ask them where they get their pencils from, because this thing does, it carves really good. So again, it's just a real rough draw out here, and we'll try to get some crank in this and see how it does. If the Sharky tool people are listening, I love your pencils. Get our silky saw out here. We'll see. So again, we're going to go right back with our carving hatchet here. When you're cutting out these notches, if you don't have glasses or don't wear glasses, be prepared for some flying chips. And again, if you're not super confident in using a carving hatchet, use your silky saw, use a coping saw, use whatever you are comfortable with to get your rough out done. If you're having trouble out at this end grain with your carving hatchet, you could have to make your edge just a little more aggressive. So keep note of that. I'm not sure yet if I want to on this one, but I did on the Holzberg. And I will say, I believe that is very much so just a preference to how you're using your carving hatchet. And depending on how I am feeling that day, I could go around these 100 different ways. So there is no right or wrong starting point, other than I try to relieve these side notches out first before I do my big splits down the handle, just so this has a place to go. I don't want it pinching on the wood underneath it there. If you're looking to carve for the therapeutic benefits of it, the hatchet time can be a really great place to burn off some of that afternoon frustration or aggression, you can. You still need to have some good focus, and you definitely don't want to lob your fingers off, but you can, like I said, you can burn up some brute force here and not get too carried away. But again, that's what the fro's for. Again, I got to look on their website. They have a small fro too, and this would be the ideal place for a small fro. All right, so we got that out of the way. All right, so you can see, like I said, we've got the majority bulked out. And again, this part comes down to your comfort level. How much material do you want to remove? I can say when you're to this point, be very careful not to strike down on your spoon, because this is where you will wreck that spoon horribly. Get rid of that chunk of heartwood. If you're looking for something a little bit more accessible, and you're in the Northeast and you're looking for some two-tone wood, beech is quite popular and just about everywhere, and it is dying pretty bad most places. So you can typically find beech free or close to free, but be forewarned that once beech is dry, it is a very hard wood to carve, and it's a pretty hard wood to rehydrate. So, and I will say, I think in all honesty, short of just taking the time to learn the skill sets of carving, learning how wood itself carves is probably the biggest difference between a new carver and an old carver. And I don't have a wide range of woods that I have carved, just because where I live, there's lots of woods that are full of, you know, oak and ash and maple, and you have old growth apple trees that have, well, old apple groves that have been around for, you know, 100+ years, that people are pruning out. A lot of cherry. So in that essence, you are kind of limited knowledge to the resources you have. And if you're buying carving billets, try to talk to the people that are selling them, because they're going to have the best knowledge of, you know, how it carves, what ways carve better, what's the drying like, you know, does it crack? If you get good green wet apple, it carves really nice. I haven't had any trouble with apple cracking with the chip method, and that's I just put it in a paper bag with chips, with wood chips, and let it dry. And again, you know, depending on how comfortable you are with the hatchet is really going to depend on you and how much carving you want to do with it. But the more you work down here, the less material you have to remove with a smaller knife that takes more energy. And from carving in your shop, that doesn't necessarily make a big difference. But if you're doing 10 or 15 of these a day, being able to conserve your hand strength is pretty important. Up until recently, I've always kind of questioned where carvers would say, I got a really good carving hatchet, and it absolutely changed my my carving skill. And I can fully understand that now that I've been using one. Because before, I always looked at it as like, I'm using a skill saw or a bandsaw. What is that hatchet gonna have on how I do things? And like I said, if you're worried about the carving hatchet with as sharp as these are kept, you're really just tapping. You're not trying to chop a tree down here. If your axe is good and sharp, it's going to bite pretty good. And that is definitely important, because you don't want this glancing off real hard. All right, so there we go. We got her all roughed in here. We'll get some finishing tools out. I'll get them polished up and we'll be right back. Alrighty guys, so I'm going to do you all a favor. I'm going to bring you in nice and close so you can see me carving here. And when I get all done, I'll go through the different tools I used and what I like about them and try to explain them a little better there. So. Uh, so I really haven't been talking much through the whole course of carving here. And quite typically, if I'm not doing video, I tend not to talk much when I'm carving. For one, this is usually my like reflection time, my calm down time, my focus on a specific problem or issue. And to really focus, you need to just, I say, bear into your work, but just soak yourself up in what you're working on. So there were two different carvers or hook knives that I was using here. And I'm trying to get it so you can see the bevel difference. This is straight all the way across. Then this has a radius. This I really like for starting out. You can remove a lot of material. But with that really good polish, there's no step in the middle here. This is just a good, smooth, clean dig in and cut hook knife. This hook knife has a more gentle radius. There is a slight seam here where the edge changes, but it's polished down. There's a really clean radius on here. And I like using these for smoothing out those rougher cuts. It rolls through the inside of your bowl of your spoon or cup or any type of vessel really clean, and where you can keep a razor edge on these. Like I have almost no polishing work needed in here at all. This is very beautiful, and most often, or this is where I break my spoons. I kind of get all sucked up in the moment of carving. I love the sound, and I'm going to try to get you nice and close, but that perfectly clean, you know, I don't know why it's got a very relaxing tone to it for me. It is starting to dry, and as it dries, when you get less and less material there, it'll dry faster and faster. But you'll reach kind of a peak point where you can take these really small, really thin, smooth, clean cuts. And I like to look up to the light. Like I have, there's a pretty thin spot right there. Hopefully won't blow through. But I'm going to go back to just using the different Sloyd knives here. And this one is probably my favorite so far. It's got a really big handle. It's easy for me to hold. And where I have bigger hands, that's probably one of my favorite features of this knife is where it does have a nice big grip, easy to hold. And, it's not, I'm not clenching my hands to control it. But their knives are super sharp. These are absolutely amazing. They cut beautifully. I use this for doing more of the aggressive work, but again, it works really good on cleaning up these lines and edges. Very controllable. It's a very high quality carving knife. I'm super happy with them so far. And like I said, I'm going to switch up and go to the other Sloyd knife they sent me here in just a minute. But for right now, I'm going to enjoy running this one. Alrighty there, guys. We're got this spoon all roughed out. I'm going to let this dry overnight, and I'll come back tomorrow and finish finish the real light carving work that needed done, and give it another day, and we'll sand it, and it'll go in and get a bag to rest for a couple weeks, and we'll see how dry it is then. But there's a nice piece of green apple spoon, start to finish. Again, all the tools I use were provided from Sharkey Forged Steel Tools, and I'm super happy for their help in my project here. They're super high quality tools, and if you get a chance, go check them out. Thanks a lot, and like always, turn these phones off, get outside, get in the sun, make a mess. It'll make you feel better. Bye now.